Hi, hello. Hi, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the learning and earning session of from Sovereign side. Tarun will be joining in a while, so I thought why not to waste time and start at the time we fix up for our podcast. And it from the last week we have been doing it from this is the fifth session of our podcast where we have been discussing about what sort of client we close, and Shiv discuss about the use cases where likewise you also have client, and there are certain client you have been dealing with, and there would be some client where you can put up more effort into it after our discussion. These are the client, if this market potential is available with us, why not we can do on that, but the team is also helping in identifying those clients for you. So basically, we have been working on this learning and earning session, and which has been helping us a lot. And there is a lot of feedback which we have received from the channel partner side. Even though some of the client has the channel partners had discussed with the clients also, we do such sort of podcast on every Monday. So some of the client also requested, sir, can we also be a part of it? We clearly said in latest future we can think of it, but right now is only for our prestigious channel partners to understand where we are heading, what sort of client base we have, and how we are delivering in the market. Welcome, Tarun. And these are the podcasts which we used to see in for the other companies or some of the individuals giving the podcast. We learn from them. A lot of learning has been done through, and same as we have been providing this learning to our channel partners as well as to the team. Let me walk you through the last week closer which we have done last week. And one of the closer which we have done is with a marquee client, and we are very proud of it. And it gives a sense of pride to us. This sort of client we have closed. They is a marquee client, and they are into entire manufacturing company known by their name, and a very renowned company, though we can't disclose the name of the company, but it's a very renowned company. And uh, the main pain point for this company was they have because entire strategy department, marketing department combine together and make a strategy for it. The main pain point for this company was related to, they have the entire data, the population of the town, district, town, or any of the village town. They have population of RTO data related to what sort of vehicle population is available in order to identify the potential of that town, the potential of that area. They have that data, but everything was on Excel, mingling about with the Excel, then putting out into the PPT, then showing to the management, then driving out. These are the area where the competition is available. We are not available. This is the potential, which is the potential where we are strong. The competition is not strong. Everything was on Excel and on PPT. What we did for them, we offered them a network expansion tool, which helped them. These are the district town at one click of the button. They don't have to work on Excel. They don't have to work on PPT. One click of the button, they can see this is a town. This is the potential of that town on the basis of vehicle population, and this is the area where we are strong, where the competition is not strong, or we are weak and the competition is strong. So they can plan out an activity, marketing activity, in order to see the marketing activities which they have done in that respective place. In order to understand the pre and post of it, we offer them a data collector app. Whenever the activity is being done, the all sort of pictures, all sort of videos, or the form which need to be filled related to the customer who visited that activity, what sort of activity, help them in that part. This data collector was provided to them. So there's a mix of network expansion and the data collector app which they have been using it, and very soon they are going to they are going to result on the part of more revenue for them. And the second closer which we done is the industrial packing solution company, which they provide industrial packaging to all the manufacturing company or any industrial company who want to move their products from A place to the C place. They provide everything, packaging part to be done and the movement to be done. So we have provided a tool to them, which is Skildomatic product. why the Skillomatic product was identified from our side and from the client side was the main pain area for the client was they say कि we have a big team of around 200-300 people which are in the market, and we every day we have to assign a task to them. Assigning a task was done through a WhatsApp, which was very painful for them. Painful for them is some of the team member who are into the market, they can't see they miss out some of the messages, and even though maybe there's a network issue or there's a battery drain out, the team is not able to see the data which has been provided from the organization. With the Skillomatic tool of R, what they can do at one night prior to the task, they can assign a task to the team, and the team, it is known to the team this is the task has been given to from the central command, and they have to visit to that place. And now once the task is given, the entire the central command sitting in the office or the owner of that organization can clearly see where the people are moving. 300 people at one big TV, they can see how the people are moving and how much time they have spent. In many of the cases, the client said, I'm not able to, because when they go from A place to the B place, they charge travel claim for that. And most of the time, they don't go to that place. They just give a call, I have visited that place, and the client had said no for the task. So they were incurring losses on that part. With our this Skillomatic product, they would be identifying their movement of the team, how much time they have spent, and their expenses will also be under that control. And now with this, I thanks everyone, and I hand over to Shiv for it. Thank you. Thanks everyone.
Okay. Yeah, thanks, Jaswinder. Tarun, you want to talk, please?
Sure. Good morning and welcome everyone to the fifth episode of podcast. Actually, in the concluding week of, I don't know how much I'm assuming everybody knows, but it's in the concluding week of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, event announced by Prime Minister of India in 2021. So this is the concluding week for that, which ends tomorrow. So I would like to start with a big thanks for all the members attending week after week. Actually, it's super encouraging for us as a team to kind of look up, get feedback, talk to different people. It's very interesting. I've been getting a couple of kind of discussions with variety of people, and as you all know, that we are a Singapore headquartered company and having clients in Singapore, Malaysia, Vietnam, US, and a couple of more countries. A lot of times I get these questions where people wonder that why we always talk about India clients, right? India business, very specific, isn't it? I mean, we all talk about, if you're a global company, why are we just getting use cases or discussions around case studies around India clients? So we do it primarily due to two reasons, guys, right? One is people want to relate to their own geographies, zones, working environment, operational territories, etc., and basically connect with the local, right? It is good to have Western reference, but we need to operate locally, and hence we talk more about India. That's point number one. Point number two is India is a growing market for SaaS companies, if you all know, like us. I'm sure most of you must be aware of the data, but the market size of India SaaS would grow from 13 billion in 22 to nearly 25 billion by 2025. And if projections are correct, it would be about 35 billion by 2027 and 50 billion by 2030. And I'm just talking about India. So if you look at by 2030, 50 billion is not that far. It's just 6.5 years from now. There is a study also done by EY that India is poised to become the next SaaS capital of the world over the next few years. So that's the context of why we talk about India pretty much. Why do we talk most of the case studies of India? So it makes all the sense to be in India, grow big with Indian partners, and make it a value proposition for our partners, stakeholders to have a win-win situation. That's so keeping that in mind, that's exactly our strategy is, and that's also the reason of why, in spite of being an MNC, we operate with a very laser, narrow, penetrative pricing strategy so that our partners can operate with ease by delivering a great product, a multinational product at a super competitive pricing, right? So that's a kind of a picture of the way India is growing, the way we want to be in that space, the way we want to be with you in that space, and kind of create a win-win environment and an infrastructure and an ecosystem for all of us. As you know, sorry, I got stuck in one of the tech issue, but as you know, our speakers for today are Jaswinder, who has already spoken, and Shiv Kiran, who is our Director of Product Management. Similarly, Jaswinder has already spoken about major wins of the last week. And now we will go through the different case studies, discussions through Shiv. Shiv, with that, over to you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Tarun and Jaswinder. So I have shared my screen. So I hope everyone is able to see the screen. I would like to reiterate about what we are trying to do at at Sovereign Solutions. So the whole idea over here is the kind of case studies that we are discussing, how these case studies can be taken across your industries to your customers. uh, like um, it's a pretty it's a product which has got a lot of legs and can be taken across different kind of use cases for your for your customers. The only thing that that I would like to say is over here the whole promise is around how we can help the customer to grow his revenues, how we can help the customer to reduce their costs, with the only intention of expanding the profit or increasing the profit actually. And the kind of problems that we solve, Jaswinder has already spoken about that. Um, it's all about problems which cannot be solved on Excel sheets actually, or the kind of processes which cannot be run on WhatsApp. So so that is where the products or solutions from Sovereign Solutions comes into the picture. Coming to our first product of the day, which is Intellomatic, the data collector application. Over the last four podcasts, and we are now into the fifth one, as Tarun told, we spoke about different features and how each of these features basically have been used by customers to solve a business problem, and how it ensured that they are able to basically expand on their revenues, or they are able to cut down on their costs. So building on that, so I won't get into every feature and every case study, because today we have new material to basically share with you. So this is a brief recap which you could you could use. Any particular feature you want to understand in greater detail, you could always go back to our earlier podcasts which are published on YouTube. uh, these are the 12 broad features of Intellomatic mobile application that we have discussed over the last over the last four podcasts. So today we are talking about something new, and just give me 1 minute. Yeah. And what we are talking about is this interesting feature. In fact, this feature, we launched it, or we released it live last week, and it's called as a validation feature. If you see the red box over here, you would see there is some text over here. Like this must be greater than or equal to a particular number, or this field must be less than or equal to a particular period. So the whole idea over here is that any of the I mean when the field staff or the field executive, when they are collecting certain data, how do I ensure that the quality of data is good? And that is by way of giving them these kind of prompts that what you're trying to enter actually is incorrect, you may want to check it again. So rather than gathering junk data, the whole idea is to get it first time right. And this is exactly the problem that a market research company which is using our Intellomatic mobile application, they could basically gather first time right information from the field. And this basically led to a really important thing for their customers, which is superior customer satisfaction. How did the superior customer satisfaction happen? One, because our tool basically helped them to cut down on certain other processes which they need to do to ensure that the data is correct. So our tool actually, it solved the problem, because the data, when it was being entered over there itself, the check was being done. And the other important thing is it also cut down in terms of the processing time. And because of this and the quality of the output, and on account of this, the customer was really satisfied actually. And so this is an interesting feature. We have just taken it live, and I would request you to, like, that in your particular industry or for your customers, please reach out to us, and, like, we will let you know more about how this particular feature can be deployed in the case of like, your customer. Coming on, or talking about the next feature, this is another like, interesting feature. There is a lot of data which actually the like, the field staff can collect over a period of time. But how do I ensure that a system is basically an enterprise-wide system is basically available, where this data can be collected in a seamless manner and straight away syncs with the data which is already available? So here is a use case of a particular customer, like, who use the map layer feature, which is there on Intellomatic. And once you click on the map layer, this particular field staff, they have got the right. If you're following this, the red rectangle over here, there is a pen over here. When you click on this particular pen, a pen icon, like, you can essentially edit this particular data which has already been collected. And again, like, over here, the data that has been collected in the past, you can gather fresh data against the map layer. Now, this is different as compared to the earlier, like, earlier deployment, where we were talking about the data being collected in the field, or the data being pushed to the field. Over here, it's basically a map layer, like, which has been edited and kind of enhanced or enriched with more information. How this particular feature has been used, we have this case of the field staff at this automobile dealership, who were able to gather more information on its competition and pass it on to the head office. They could gather, like, images. They could gather, like, what, I went like a mystery shopper to this particular like competition outlet, and I gathered, like, that they have a 6-bay facility in this part, and, like, they do have a paint booth or things like that, actually. And that basically, like, over a period of time, this automobile company, leveraging its field force, which was already there, they could basically like, enrich the data at no additional cost. And that was a great value add for this particular customer. In the second podcast, we had spoken about, like, this particular feature, the data editor feature and the two-way data flow. I won't be talking about the same case study. This is a different case study, actually, where like, this customer, a liquor distribution company, they basically like, reached out to us, and they said that on their website, they only have this feature of name, email, contact number, and like, free text field. And this particular information is basically like, gathered on their website. But what they wanted was, is there a way that, like, they can integrate the data which is being collected from the website, pass it on to the field staff who is using the Intellomatic mobile application, and we like, we basically do further enriching of the data. So this is the exact problem that we solved. I mean, this particular feature that we were talking about, it was solved, like, using I mean, it was solved for this particular customer, and they found this to be really useful to conduct their business operations. Moving on to the next feature, like, data security. Yeah, I mean, in today's world, like, that's the in thing, actually. It is extremely important that the information that is being captured, the data stays really secure. And the Intellomatic mobile application is the perfect example of that, because the field staff who is collecting the data doesn't sit on the mobile phone. It straight away syncs like, on the cloud with the Chromatic like, the network management tool on the desktop side, actually. How this particular feature can be used is this particular I mean, this use case of an automobile dealer. And when you walk to any automobile dealership, actually, the first thing that happens is, right in the beginning, there is a person who ushers you in. And this person would say, okay, fine. I mean, let me understand what your requirement is. What have you come here for? And how may I help you? And they gather certain information, which we call as the walk-in register. Any automobile dealership, anywhere in the world, if you basically go, this is a standard process which is being followed for more than 100 years. The key thing is that this process has not been automated. And this is where, like, dealerships basically lose out, because the data is free for everybody to access, and the security element which we were talking about, that element is not there. And we kind of solve this problem for our customer, where we said that rather than you entering the data into a walk-in register, you basically use the mobile application, and you will be able to gather far more information about your customer in a much more secure manner. So so that is the that is the kind of problem that we basically solved. The next feature that I would wish to talk about is the multi-selection feature. Uh, and over here, if you see, so we already spoke about that we have the option of drop downs. You can select one, but we're not talking about selecting one. Let's say this particular customer is interested not only in a home loan, but this customer wants to take a gold loan. This customer is also interested in auto loan. How do I handle this kind of customer? Because they're not tagged to one particular product. This is where the multi-selection feature comes into the picture. And we have the reason why we kind of worked on and developed this feature is because of this fintech company which is in the lending space, and they had reached out to us with this exact requirement, because all along we were thinking in terms of that there would be only one product that the customer is interested in. But this particular company in the fintech space, what they said is, when they generate inquiries, what they have found is customers are interested to kind of participate or kind of take multiple products from the same company. And this is where this particular feature was developed. Again, from your perspective, we would encourage you that in your use case with your customers, you could you could talk about this particular feature and see how we can solve a business problem. With this, I move on to the next product, which is the network management product. Again, over here, we start with a quick recap in terms of what features have we spoken about in the earlier podcast and what kind of case studies are there. I would reiterate that think about these features, think about your customers, and look at how this particular feature can be used for your customer in their particular industry. And that will be a really interesting way of taking these features across different industries. Again, we spoke about close to about 12 features, and each of those features we explain how a particular company in our industry is using it. And we would encourage you to go through our earlier podcast to learn more about each of these features. Coming to today's feature, and this is a very important feature. We call it as a multi-factor selection feature. What you're seeing over here is, so we in podcast 2 we have spoken about how powerful the Explorer tool is. Any data that is being collected through the Intellomatic mobile application, you can do more work on the Explorer tool. Actually, we in podcast 4 we had spoken about how using the Excel import feature, your own data can be actually brought brought into the Growmatic system. Here is a case where data from different sources, once it has been brought into, the Explorer tool can actually be used to do geographic analysis. So this is a case. Let's say I use multiple filters. I want to know that where are dhabas, greater than 50 dhabas located across the whole across the whole country in a particular district. How many ice cream parlors are there, or how many cinemas? So that's what we call as a multi-factor selection. And what you see on the map over here are those faint pink shapes. Those are all the districts which basically meet this criteria. And you can use the multi-factor selection feature, and you can kind of use it at a state level, at a district level, at a sub-district level, or even at a pin code or city level. Whatever suits you, actually, this particular feature can be used. And this use case was first developed for a really large mobile tower company, and they were foraying into the 5G space. And the key problem that they were trying to understand was that in my particular area, how many properties are available, where an area of more than 2000 square feet is available, the rooftop is more than 2000 square feet actually. So that was the first problem. The second problem was, what is the height of this particular like building? The third problem they were trying to understand was that what is the rupees per or dollar per square feet at which this particular property or like is being given out. And the fourth one they were trying to understand is, like, who is the competition in this particular area, where are the competition towers located. So multiple factors on the basis of which this particular company was deciding where to set up the mobile tower. So the Explorer tool with the multi-factor selection feature was a perfect way in which, like, we solve this problem for this company actually. There is another important feature. Last week during podcast 4, we had spoken about, like, the road distance. This week we are talking about, like, how you can calculate linear distance using this particular scale on the top right. You go to any page on like, once you log in, you have this tool on the top right. Just click on that. Left click from the will set you the start point. Again, like, left click where you want to stop, and it will calculate the distance between these 2 points. Okay, and how this particular feature is being used, we have this like, use case of a shoe retail company which was planning to expand in tier 2 and tier 3 cities. I mean, they were present in close to about 200 cities, and their plan was, how do we go after the next 800 cities? And the whole idea was that, okay, we will have a top-down approach. So they used a priority index to basically identify which cities. But once I enter the city, how do I know, like, that I have multiple options, like, property A, property B, property C? Which of these properties should I be selecting? One way of solving this problem is, I travel down to all these places, which is the conventional way of doing business. The smart way, or in today's world, you use digital tools. And that is where like, the Sovereign Solutions product, it comes into the picture. This particular company, they use the scale, and they could exactly measure, like, that this property, how far is it from the main road? What is the complete width of the showroom frontage that they're essentially getting? What is the cost of this particular property? And on the basis of that, without even visiting the place, but using a combination of Intelomatic and Growmatic, they could basically solve this problem. And like, they could plan the next steps. We also have this feature of route optimization, another very powerful tool. It basically is a traveling salesman problem that we are trying to solve. The whole idea is that a field staff, they can do much more work if we basically help them to plan their day in a much better manner. Like, that you're starting from home, you go to customer A first, visit customer B next, go to customer C, and then, like, if you want to visit your branch, do all of that. And our tool basically helps you to optimize that. This is the way in which, like, you need to cover whether I should go to ABC, CAB, ACB. So all those options, like, once you enter it, you just have to click on optimize, and it will give you like, what is the way to go around actually. This particular feature was first developed for a home finance company having close to about 2,000 people running around in the field. Their pain point was, like, oh, every day I start in the morning, I have to first go to my branch and then, like, start my day from there. But thanks to this particular tool, thanks also to the feature of like, online attendance, we could essentially solve this problem. And I'm moving on to my last section. Every week we talk about new data sets. We spoke about, like, that we have 700 different kind of data sets which are there. One of the data sets I wanted to talk about, which many companies have used, is the upcoming real estate projects information. We call it as a RERA data. And using this data, a tile manufacturing company, they could generate new inquiries by just reaching out to the stakeholders of these upcoming projects. So with this, I come to the end of like, my presentation. Over to you, Tarun.
Thanks, Shivan, Jaswinder, for insights and introducing new use cases and new features. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Hope the session was helpful. As always, please give your feedback through your managers. One of the feedback at the closing time I want to talk about is, we are aware that some of you have requested for a little bit of time change in the later in the day. Although it seems like to be a tough one, but we want to start the week by meeting you all. But we will review and come back if we can push by a few minutes. We will doing podcast from the field starting next week and for next 3 weeks. So looking forward for the interesting concept, and see you guys next week, same time. For now, good luck, happy selling, and happy 77th Independence Day to all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right.